The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, I can't hear you.
I said good morning.
I don't have any monitor. I didn't know we were done. So, welcome to live TV. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's going to be a great day because obviously we had a city council meeting last night. We've had other issues. We have the finding of the special prosecutor. We've got tons of things to talk about, and it all comes down to one thing: politics as usual. You know, it's a sad commentary, but as I said in a previous show, it's my opinion that government is a necessary evil, and it proved it again yesterday. I don't know where to, I guess let's begin. What do you think, CJ? We begin with the finding on the former mayor.
Oh, yes. You mean the finding
the
of
lack
no
of
finding.
Yeah, the lack of finding, you know.
The finding of no findings.
Well, you know, again, here we have a classic example of society. Anybody who thinks that this society is a democracy and everybody is treated equally, again, you know, down. We have a special prosecutor that worked for 7 months to come up with something as an interpretation to do nothing. That's a classic example of what happens in this society. You know, if it was you or I, we'd be in jail. It took them 7 months to figure out that Will Flanagan was not credible. It took them 7 months to figure out that Paul De Silva was not credible, and that Mr. Goslin was not credible. And he said Jazel was credible. So, we got the monitor working. All is good. And if you read the finding, there's a lot of lawyers speak, and it talks about how they created the gun created an environment that could be conceived as being kind of hostile, and yet there was no. You can't prosecute under the law because there was no intimidation. Well, if you create an environment where someone is in fear, or you attempt to coerce someone, that's a form of intimidation. If you or I went to court with that evidence, rather than a special prosecutor figuring out ways to interpret the law so they don't have to prosecute, we'd be walking a tear at Walpole, or whatever they call it now. Is it still Walpole, or is it Cedar Junction?
Cedar Junction.
Cedar Junction. We'd be walking a tear at Cedar Junction. And, you know, it really irritates me because, you know, again and again, we see these people getting walked away with nothing. I guess the only people that could ever get anybody is the feds, because the only time you ever see a politician or somebody rich get their just dessert is when the feds get them. I mean, it just goes on and on. We got OJ, we got Klaus von Bülow, we've got now we've got Will Flanagan. No prosecution. So he walks away, not exonerated, but in the eyes of there's no charges being brought, so he has no, you know, he was found not credible. Well, guess what? If it took you 7 months to figure out that these people were not credible, you're not a very good special prosecutor.
Well, and remember, he's not only a special prosecutor, he's a former federal prosecutor. And federal prosecutors are very special because they don't leave any stone unturned. Obviously, they don't turn them over. So, but you know, you have to look at this and you have to say, you know, what happened? All right, it's very clear what happened. And again, Jazel Correa came out as being credible. The other three came out as being not credible. Currently, people are asking for the resignation of Paul De Silva. Personally, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. At last night's city council meeting, they turned around and said, how can we listen to this guy? He's not credible. All right, you have a gentleman on this committee, you have a gentleman on this council that has been declared non-credible, which means you're a liar. In essence, you're a liar without saying you're a liar. And, you know, if he runs for office, I mean, does he need a smack in the head that badly that he wants the people of Fall River to give him 5 votes and say, go away? You know, Mr. De Silva, with all due respect, although at this point I don't feel you deserve a lot, you really should give serious consideration to resigning before this budget comes out, because the people of Fall River are already plotting your demise, okay, in a way to make sure you either resign or your life is made a living hell. And these people are not obviously, you know, players of politics like Chip and myself. We believe that there are certain lines you do not cross. The people that are involved here that really cannot handle this are going to be very upset. But one of the big things, which I think this report proved over and over and over again, was that by conspiring to discredit Jordan Sylvia, okay, who, by the way, is in the process of retaining an attorney at this point, I guess their plan was to chop off the head and, you know, the snake would die. Win or lose, the recall happened. We won. Okay? And I think the people of Fall River won. I think with the election of the current Captain Clueless, I don't think they've won anything. But we have to look at the fact that this special prosecutor was appointed by then District Attorney C. Samuel Sutter, now Mayor C. Samuel Sutter. And the big questions that keep coming in is, was there or is there any political influence on this report? Is this report totally independent? Or did the current mayor, the previous mayor, or other people politically connected involved have anything to do with the outcome of this report? Because in my remembrance, and I'm not an attorney, conspiracy in and of itself is a crime. Now, the special prosecutor is saying that you need to conspire to commit the crime and attempt to commit the crime in order for the conspiracy charge to hold. But amazingly enough, the federal government, when they can't get you on anything, they charge you with conspiracy and they convict you on that. So if the federal government can convict people on conspiracy only, why isn't Mayor Will Flanagan, Tommy Goslin, and Paul De Silva at least all charged with conspiracy? I mean, that's a big question.
Well, it's a very good question, obviously, but you know, the answer is to me is pretty apparent. Number one, he was, operative word, past tense, he was a federal prosecutor. And if anybody knows anything about federal prosecutions, they have a virtually perfect conviction rate. One thing about the feds, it takes them 5 or 10 years to get a case to court, but very rarely does a federal prosecutor ever lose a federal case. And if he would have conducted himself in this manner on a federal level, he wouldn't have a job. He'd never work again. The reality is, as you said, conspiracy. The report, at least what I read, said that, you know, they met. They planned this meeting. It wasn't a happen-chance meeting, a happenstance meeting. What happened was they went through various phases: the intimidation with the gun, the pleading, the let's be friends, and if you're a friend of mine, you'll do this. But there was a conspiracy here. There was a conspiracy to make Councilor Correa basically lie and say that he was intimidated into signing the petition. And I was standing there when he signed the petition. And he said very clearly, and I commended him then and I'll commend him now, he said before he signed that petition, I disagree with what you're doing, but I feel it's your right as voters to do this. It's unfortunate that that petition didn't get turned in, but the fact is that because there was a confrontation, so to speak, beforehand between Jordan and the counselor, they attempted to use that for their political leverage and say that he was intimidated into it, which in no way, shape, or form was he. To go back to that night, he actually left the council chambers, came down into the foyer of Government Center to sign a petition. He went out of his way to come down because he felt it was our right, and I commend him for that action. Very, very few of these politicians feel that the taxpayers or the people have any rights, and we'll get into that after we move past this. But again, it was a travesty of justice. Again, the rich and the politically connected have a different set of rules. They don't have to. If it was you or I, as I said, we would be up on conspiracy, intimidation. They'd even get us on a RICO statute. You know? we'd be walking a tear in a federal pen. I mean, they'd throw us in jail and throw the key away. And you know that upsets me because we see it all too often in this society that the people who have the least get the least, and they do not have a fair playing field. And with that, I'll get off this subject because it upsets me just to think about it. Because you know, it's another. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. You know, so you know, if the gun didn't fire, we cannot prosecute. That's right. We cannot. That's a good one. Yeah. If the gun didn't fire, they did not conspire. There we go. That's a good one, CJ. Very good. I like that. But with that, I want to move over to the city council meeting and another outrage. You know, the continuation of the relentless attack on the taxpayers in the city of Fall River. And it is relentless now. And we hear it all. We see the mayor going to neighborhood associations talking about 2.5 prop overrides. We hear about how our tax rate is too low. We hear this hyperbole, and it's all crap. Everybody forgets the city we live in. Our tax rate is too low. Why does the city and our city government, and we have councilors who yesterday voted to exempt businesses from pay-as-you-throw. The same councilors that voted to reduce the tax factor on businesses. And has that helped? No. Did that help keep businesses in the city? No. Trio just closed. Businesses are leaving every day because people don't have money. Is this a shared sacrifice? Who's sharing this sacrifice? Only the taxpayer now. They even exempted businesses. And you know, it really gets me when we see councilors that previously supposedly were advocates for the taxpayer turning around and voting for this exemption. And you know something? I don't agree with pay-as-you-throw. Never did, because it's a hidden tax. As I said, it's not about the bags. It's about the fact that you lie again. You're taking advantage of the people, of the taxpayer. It's a hidden tax. And now you're going to exempt all your friends and relatives. So they don't have to pay. So again, what sharing of any sacrifice? The only people that are sacrificing are the taxpayers. And their data, CG, let me say you can, because I'm tired of their bullshit data, okay? And I'll say it. Get the FCC down. I don't care. It's absolute bullshit. Okay, why do we compare ourselves with New Bedford when the mayor wants more people on his staff? Well, you know, the mayor of New Bedford has more staff than I do. But when did they say that New Bedford has a higher tax rate than we do? But then when you say, well, they don't pay for bags and there are no fees in New Bedford, we can't say that. Oh, we have a low tax rate. But then all of a sudden we can't compare ourselves with the two cities of our size that have the most businesses, Newton and Cambridge, and actually have lower taxes than we do. So the old adage that liars can figures don't lie, but liars can figure, well, data can lie too, and liars can compute data and manipulate data. And you know something? The only people that are getting beat up every single day in this community are the beleaguered taxpayers, the people living on a household income of less than $35,000, which is half the state average. But they don't care. This council doesn't care. I'm appalled by the action. And on top of this, they want to put another fee. They want to charge $100 per unit. You know what I'm saying today? Everybody in this city, if they impose this fee, everybody in this city should go to private. Call ABC, call Cleanway, call anybody you want. Screw the bags. Nobody in the city should use a purple bag. Everybody abandon it. Let them eliminate trash pickup. Never mind privatize it, eliminate it.
Well,
forget it.
Well, you know, Chip, the thing is that...
Am I upset? Just a little.
Chip, you know, the thing is that when you look at the vote, I thought it was 6-3. It's actually 5-4 with Jazel Correa, Mike Mioza, Dan Rigo, and Joe Camara voting in the negative. So let's look at the taxpayer advocate, okay? And I'm going to call her out. Councilor Linda Pereira, turncoat. I got to be nice. I'm not going to get the FCC on my back. Turncoat extraordinaire, who touted how even on vacation, she had to call the city to do her job, because even when she's on vacation, she is still a city councilor. But you turned around and made sure that that ordinance did not fine you as the landlord, Councilor Pereira. Talk about self-serving, okay? And you made sure that businesses were not fined and did not have to use the purple bags. And if you want to see proof and evidence of that, drive by Standard Pharmacy on East Main Street or Walsh Pharmacy on Rock Street and see all the non-purple bags from members of city boards and commissions. Specifically, one of the boards that's responsible for enforcing some of this, the Board of Health. Okay? This is why Fall River gets the shaft, because every one of you wingnuts out there who think that Linda Pereira is a wonderful person, and she is. I know her personally. I've known her for many years. But as a city councilor now, we see, just by this vote, what she's doing. You know what? I don't have a horse in this race. I said this over 1,000,000 times, okay? I don't care whether they put pay-as-you-throw in place or they don't. I care about the law. That's what I care about, okay? And the bottom line is, the ordinance that is currently proposed by Pat Casey, Ray Mitchell, and who else was on that committee? Because it was 3-2 with Jazel Correa and Dan Rigo voting nay on this ordinance. Oh, and Paul De Silva. Imagine that. I forgot the other.
That was a Freudian slip. You wanted to forget him. Okay, yeah, we'll take that.
Freudian forget. And Paul De Silva, who passed this. I wonder why. Could we be taking care of our business associates? Okay? I send via email on a regular basis to every city councilor possible solutions, possible problems, possible ways to solve some of this. Do you know I only get a return receipt from 2 people in city government on a regular basis, which shows me that either A, they don't want me to know they read it, or B, they haven't even opened it up. Okay? Which means as a constituent, you don't care. But I will say, the only 2 people that I get return delivery confirmations from are Mike Mioza and Corporate Counsel Gary Howiak. Other than that, I don't get any returns. So, you know what? Here's the deal, and I'm going to break this down, and I'm sorry for cutting you off here for a little bit, Chip, but let's break this down to dollars and cents. If the average home uses one bag a week, that's $2 a week times 52 weeks, it's $104. Now, if they have to put on a $100 per unit fee on each property in the city, okay, which obviously the landlord's going to have to pay, and then he or she's going to have to pass that on to the tenant. So, Councilor Pereira, you don't want the landlords to be fined? Remember that fee when it comes up, because I want to see how you vote it down. Because I know you will, because guess what? It hits your pocket. That's $204 a year on a one-unit property, okay? At $25 a month, you can get private trash hauling from any private hauler. If you have a 3-tenement, 102 times 3 is $306, and I'm not using Captain Clueless's math here. I'm using actual math. And $100 per unit, that's $606 a year. At $25 a month for one bin, $40 for a small dumpster, okay? I think I would save more money doing it that way. And my personal opinion, and I think Chip will concur on this, I would rather spend more money paying a private vendor than giving you idiots on the city council and you morons in city government who don't know how to handle finances another dime. Before I give you one more dime, I'll give it to the private sector, because you know what? At least there, I know how it's used.
Let the revolution begin. You're right, and I feel exactly the same way. And you know what really irritates me is that, look, we've been saying this for a very long time. The people are beginning to say it. But you know something? We don't have any say in the matter. We don't count. Shared sacrifice, my derriere. The fact is that, listen, the citizens of Fall River have absolutely no say in what's going on in the city of Fall River. It's people who live out of town. It's the people with the money. It's the political. The fact is that, listen, Rob Mellion, the Messiah, walks in front of the city council. I'm surprised they don't all get up, leave their chairs, walk over to the well, and kiss his feet. He doesn't live in the city. He doesn't need a waiver to speak. Everything he says is like gospel, even if it's absolute BS. He comes up with these. How long has he been making all these suggestions to enhance business, and business has not really thrived in Fall River? It's getting worse and worse every year. But you know, no, it's because he's the Messiah. And they like to play games. They like to create an illusion, the illusion that things are going to get better, the illusion that we're doing something positive. It's not positive, because it's real simple. You know, it's a sad commentary when Walmart, the most anti-labor organization, retail store on the planet Earth, a corporation that has 90% of its goods done by child labor chained to a machine somewhere, working for just above slave wages. A company that's fought unions tooth and nail now has a commercial. They're investing billions of dollars to give their workers pay raises, because a pay raise will help the economy. Come on. When Walmart can figure that out, our moronic council can't figure out that if you continue to take money out of the pockets of the people of Fall River, what we have left is a population that can't support any business. We have one of the highest, if not the highest, percentage of subsidized housing. Those people don't have much discretionary cash, and if they do, you know, I know they don't spend it in the stores, in restaurants. They might spend it on cigarettes, scratch tickets, and in a liquor store. And I know I'll be vilified for that comment, but that's a fact. But the reality is, the rest of the people here are on fixed incomes for the most part, or they're so rich they don't care. And, you know, this is what we're left with. Nobody cares. We're paying to paint houses in the Highlands. And believe me, that's CPA. That's my next mission. Because when all this is over, after the next election, I am going to launch an effort to repeal that crap, because I'm paying enough taxes. And like you, CJ, I don't care if I'm paying a private company more money. They are taxing me to death. I'm sick of it. I will not give this city one more penny than I have to, because they cannot handle money. And unlike me, when they misspend money, there's no consequences. They just misspend and misspend and misspend, and then they just tax us some more. And they say there's no fat. BS. I'll show you plenty of fat. The fact is that there's no shared sacrifice. The sacrifice is all ours. And I'm going to tell you right now, they will never get another penny. I always pay my excise tax and my water bill on the last day. The bank pays my taxes, so they pay it early, which really upsets me. Years ago, I used to pay it. I used to pay it on a day it was due. But believe me, this city will not get one penny from me ever again until they take it from my cold, dead hand.
And even then, they're going to do it because they want to raise the fees to bury you.
That's right. So, you know something? We've got to start this revolution. These people, they're totally out of control. They don't care how much they tax. And the next councilor that says our tax rate is too low, they should be ejected from the council chamber, because you know something? When you're living on $34,000 a year, the tax rate is high. Because if you put a ratio between that and people who are making double the household income and their tax rate's $1 more or $2 more, it's a lot less impact. Because, you know, as I always say, when you got $5 in your pocket, a $9 hamburger is expensive.
Yeah, well, you know, Chip, the thing that gets me is we only have a couple of minutes left. You know, another thing that came on the agenda yesterday, but they removed, was the inter-municipality agreement between Freetown and Fall River in regards to the biopark. And that's interesting because they actually, from corporate counsel, made a motion to table it because there has to be changes into it that are going to affect Freetown's position. But also at the same time, I reviewed very carefully the Fall River Redevelopment Authority's agreements with the biopark. And nowhere in there does it say a warehouse can be there. It actually lists out specific reasons you can be there. And it lists out 2 specific reasons that you can't be there. Well, 3. Retail, casinos, and dumps. So we got the dump next door, so we're all set there. Casino already died, and now we're going to put a warehouse in there, okay, which is actually a retail warehouse. So I started bringing that up, and they said, why are you all against jobs? I'm not against the jobs, okay? This is about the law. And the wingnut candidate, for the lack of a better expression, and I'm sorry, Mr. Cabaceres, that's the way I have to address this right now, is talks more political speak than I've ever heard in my life. And he's become the Paulie D of the candidates. Because every answer, and you've heard it yourself from him, every answer that he has is always political speak. So, hey, we're down to the last seconds, so.
All right, well, let me say, shame on you, City Council, for exempting businessmen. Shame on you for not putting in a resolution to remove everybody from a city board that owes tax money to the city of Fall River. And shame on you for not caring about the taxpayers of the city. And may you all pay in November.
Thanks for watching Spindle City Straight Talk. We'll see you on Friday.